And yeah, so understanding customer needs is the key success in the SaaS based on their insight and the result that I shared with you. And it's almost common in all the SaaS businesses that you want to run. So now let's look at the more deeper and find one good framework to look at the customer's problem in the SaaS. So I want to look at this problem using the R funnel. This is very famous in the web industry. It has the 5 different layers. Sometimes people call it the pirate, framework, something like the voice that the pirate generated, like the R. So yeah, this is in the first 2 level, we are focusing on the acquisition and activation. In the third, retention, fourth, referral, and the revenue. And if you want to see that once customer enter to the funnel, what sort of the problem, I just summarized a couple of generic problems that you can see in the different levels. For example, when we want to do the acquisition, which is also very important for the SaaS, is to understand why someone is coming to the SaaS company website and how they find us. And once they enter to our website or our service, what could be the best plan for them when they want to log into our service and when they want to log out from our service. In activation part, sorry, uh, so sorry. How do we reveal the relevant features for the user? So once the user is activated, by initial interaction that they've done with the website, what could be the best solution for the customer that we can recommend and help him? Or what sort of the workflow, if we have, we could recommend to the customers. And in retention phase, we want to make sure the customers are happy and return back, and we retain the customer and they visit us more frequently. What should we do to increase that retention? And one of the way is that to connect with them, with the email notification kind of things. And how can we make it more suitable and sweet for them, or have the personalizing them for the customers? And once they connect with us and work with us, are they like us? Are they work with the other peoples? Are they going to refer us to the other customers? How are they going to behave? And finally, by all these activities, what is the is our service worth it, and what is the business monetization we get from the customer activity, from the subscription, from the interaction of the users, and if the pricing, packaging is good, is it fair, that kind of questions. So by looking that funnel and investigating the customer needs and customer problems, we understand and we know that the solution is rely on the two main learning and understanding. The one is that the one here is the intent understanding, is what is the intent of our customers when they want to use us? What do they actually they want to they ended up to working with us? And the other is that once we engage with our product, what sort of content, if they're creating content, for example, in Dropbox, they're creating lots of content in there, or content generation or content using, like for example, Netflix, people are using, watching the contents. And also the product usage, how they use the different product that we have, how they use this slideshow, how they use in the Word. By understanding this, the kind of activity users that done in these two different areas, the personalization engineers work and try to make it personalized for the customers. So in a very simple definition, I define the personalization as by understanding customer intent and customer content and product usage, try to improve the customer experience. This is one definition that is very popular use that. And I also want one other more narrative kind of the definition of the personalization, but David Weinberger, who is the one of the author and technologists, talk about the personalization. In his point, personalization is the automatic tailoring of sites and messages to the individuals viewing them, so that we can feel that somewhere else there is a piece of software that loves us for who we are. So that's the agent there that try to understand us and have the empathy and connection with us to solve our problem. This is the one nice way of defining personalization. And yeah, so we understand that by now that the personalization is the key and one of the key pillars in the strategy that we should consider in any SaaS company to have a automated way to the customer focus. So I wanted to give you the very high level 100K view of the personalization engine, and then go a little bit deeper inside that, in for my purpose of talk. So we have the one personalization engines, and the query comes from the different, part of the business related to the customer's product. And at the end, we just produce some recipes, tables, some results related to those questions. So, for example, once the customers enter and use our services, what is the best plan that we can have? For example, based on the data usage that they have, is it the basic plan, individual plan is good, or what is the size of the plan? Maybe from the storage kind of thing they need, or what sort of the product they may involve. Do they using lots of video, PDF, and what kind of things we can recommend and bundle for him or her for that purpose? So that solution comes to the personalized SaaS plan. And other question is that, okay, once the users connected to our website, web page, everything is on the web and the mobile, how we can make the GUI more personalized as suite for the customers in a way that the usage that the customers is using. So sorry. And for that one, we're going to do the personalized GUI. As an example, you can see that many of the web companies like the Uber, like DoorDash, they have the personalized rendering and what you like from the content and from the features that you will see. So that is also very important that then that increase the uh, personalization and also the customer experience high. And the other is related about the once the customer is using the content, what could we recommend as a content to the customers? Think about the Netflix, the recommendation engine, or you can think about the Amazon, the user, what going to recommend to you after your bout and the wish list and kind of things. And finally, one of the most important also question is that usually it happens in SaaS is that what is the personalized lifelong total value for the customers? So one of the key metrics that the SaaS company should follow is the lifelong total value of the customers. And by knowing the interaction of the customers, what is the prediction and the lifetime value of the customers? And based on that, they can do the strategic planning and focus on the different sectors. So this is something that the personalization engine could work and return back to the answers and provide a personalized solution. So this is the core of the personalization, but how it works? We can think about the personalization in four levels. The first one is the very naive and immediate solution is that just let's focus on the solution that works for many of the people or one fit all solution. Usually this is a very, simple, quick, you can do that. But the main problem is that it may have a high churn. It's not, fully for personalized based on the customer need. And the second level of the personalization engine happens that many companies are using the rule-based or heuristic by defining the personas for different customers for different, target audience that they define based on demography, geography, psychography information to recommend a solution. And usually that needs some business knowledge in that domain to create those rule-based system for the creating that personalization. And the third level is the, I call it one to some or user item feature similarities, that the main machine learning role start from here. So by understanding user interaction with their products, user similarities, and also the understanding the different interaction with the features, bundles, scores, they try to have the personalized scores for the customer. So that happens based on the general interaction of the users for the product, and we have the level 3 of the personalization. And the level 4 of the personalization, I call it one-to-one or fully personalized. It's just based on your activity. And the model is totally trained based on your activity. You can think about as an example of your smart keyboard on a mobile. It has just initially some um, initial solution, but once you enter your words, your sentences, the style that you're writing the different sentences. It's going to be trained by your words and make it more fully personalized. So level 4 is just, we go in the end and you just totally personalize for your action. And usually that level is have the high price, if you want to run it. And the other thing sometimes had some produce some privacy issue problem. So it depends on the industry how it works, but many of the industry working in the level 3, if I want to say, depending on the situation. Yeah. So let's see and review some of the high level and generic use cases in SaaS that you can think about that and maybe apply into your business. Or if you already applied, you can extend it more. As I talked initially, that one of the best things is to have the personalized SaaS plans that, once the customer entered, what could be the best bundle for the customer to use that. And the other thing is one of the most important problems, the personalized search. So based on the content that the user created, shared, viewed in the SaaS domain, the personalization engine to provide the search result personalized based on the customer's previous history and customer need and intent. You can think about that, for example, the document search that you have in the Google, in the Dropbox, or the video search that you may have in the Netflix, as an example. And personalized content ranking is that one level on top of the search, in a way that based on your history interaction with the website, the recommendation engine tries to recommend the results that are closer to your need without doing any search. So by that one, you're going to just, without doing search, give you the right target for you to focus. For example, that happens a lot in the movie recommendation, feature product recommendation you see in the Amazon. And if you just give you some good number, that roughly about the 30% of the Amazon mainstream revenue comes from the recommendation in different formats in different channels, that they have for the customer. So this is also one of the key important area to focus. Sorry. And the fourth one is about the personalized marketing, that how we can run the personalized and optimize the campaign for targeting users. That could be related to the ad, if also we have the monetization ad as a monetization engine, or also the services that you provided for our customers. So this is the personalized marketing campaign that could be done. And personalized lifetime value, I just talked about that, why this metric is very critical for the company. And by knowing that we have the prediction of the users using what sort of the value user is going to create for the company, and we try to proactively connect with the customer and try to solve the problem. This happens. And personalized GUI rendering, that by reordering and rendering of the functionality and the widgets. And personalized messaging, in many cases, that when the campaigns are running, or many of the prompt campaigns or prompt notes that you see, the message are very comes from the generic point of view. But by understanding how the customers interacted with the web service, no more pain point of that, or more strong point that they have, we try to format that message in a way that customers feel that's much more personalized based on their behavior and exactly looking for their needs. So this is also one way that the machine learning could understand and frame and craft a personalized message for the customers when we're shooting any campaign or in a marketing campaign for the users. And the same is personalized promotions that based on the user behavior and how they're sensitive with different criteria. For example, some users are sensitive to the price, how we can find them and target them for the promotions and ask them for more involvement in our services. And the other thing that I wanted to talk is also important is the personalized churn score. When the customer may wants to leave the company and leave the SaaS service, what how we can, proactively reach those customers, understand the problems, and try to make sure they're engaged with our product. So these are the very high level and generic SaaS use cases in the domain of the personalization, and you can think about it more. And in a high level, to just give you the very high level personalized architecture that works in this domain. And I use the general two-phase general architecture, but based on the complexity of some models and the pipelines, you can make it simpler and make it more optimized for the different use cases. And this kind of architecture could work in the batch mode or the real-time mode, based on the use cases that you may have. And I want you to point you to the very interesting talk by the Facebook AI about talking about the personalization and scale and challenges. That the talk is clearly described this architecture in a more detail if you want to have a deeper understanding in that. But I wanted to quickly overview to get a sense about how it works in general. So the personalization engine comes, the input is the query, the question that you have there. For example, what is the interest score of user I to the product or item? You want to get the scores and get the tables that shows all the scores for the customers. And at the end, you will get the result. But the personalization engine uses two main information and to do this sort of the analysis. One is we call it usually very common thing, the feature stores. Feature stores usually contains the statistical information and ML generated feature related to the users and product, in our domain. And the product and item store is also information about the product and interaction with the product, that how users are behaving. And by combining these two and running the machine learning inferencing, it tries to solve the problem. So this is a little bit more elaborating more detail about this architecture. That once we face that for the solution for the customer, we may have many results. For example, many items match with the user need. So in that case, to reduce the complexity of the work, it has one phase, adding the candidate generation, that we tried from the 100,000 of the items that may match for that query to reduce it to the 1K candidate. So it's a one phase that try to do the reduction on that phase. And usually in machine learning, people call it, you have the high recall. So we want to not miss the correct, items, but it should be, the small number of the items. But once we have the short number of candidates, that we may just remove that phase and initially directly go to the second phase, which is the ranking and scoring. And based on the the solution that we find, we try to rank them if it's matched with the query and with the need. And the machine learning is produced the score, and based on the score, we decide what to show to the customer. And these two, as I mentioned, is leveraging the feature store, item product store, and do the inferencing and machine learning by this interaction. And at the end, sometimes, once we ended up with the solution for the customer, there's some business logic and the constraint that we should apply. For example, this customer setup that not get 2 email per week. So should we send it to that customer or not? So that some kind of the business logic will be applied to filter out some result. And at the end, the items will be, showed or, connected to the users and, as a solution, as the remedy for the user. And this loop, is a feedback loop that by collecting the impression logs, how customers liked our solution, it's going to, again, to produce the feature store, connected with the feature computation, and then provide the information of feature store, and this feedback loop is working in that case. So just give the high level ideas. And in many of these detail, I don't want to go in the deep dive on that, and I don't have enough time on that, also on that. That many of the deep learning techniques, two-tower techniques, many things, is going to be used, and many of the NLP technique could be used in these different phases of this high-level architecture. Yeah. So this is wanted to give you the sense about how the personalization engine may work in general. And now here, sorry, about Dropbox. I think I have a couple of minutes to do the advertisement for the company for myself. Yeah, I'm working Dropbox as I mentioned. So our mission is that to, as a company, to have more enlightened way of working. And today we are working to develop the product that reduce the busy work for you and you focus more on what matters for your business. As you know, Dropbox has the sorry, and Dropbox has about the 700 million registered user globally, and we have about the 800 billion piece of content, in our data centers and our clouds. And we have about the 17 million paying users, and 80% of them are the using for work and the business. And we have a bunch of product related to that domain to solve our customers' problem. For example, we have the main Dropbox as the file sharing service. We have the Dropbox sign for signature, and doing the contract. If you can do that, we have the Dropbox shop to sharing your content, digital content, and sell it. We have the docs and the analytics on the uh, documents, and also capture and replay for the video creation and the video editing if you are working in that domain, and the backup and transfer. So at Dropbox, as I mentioned, we have almost in all dimension areas that we work on the personalization, as one of our main mission is to provide more uh, and better connection with the customer, try to understand their problems and provide them more personalized and the sweet solution for them in the work. Just a couple of key takeaways from that is that keeping customer happy is one of the key success and important key success in SaaS, and we should take and pay attention much more on the churn score, as I mentioned. We need to automate the process of connecting and serving our customers for better customer experience. And personalization is the key pillar to improve customer experience in that domain and many of the business domains, I believe. And machine learning is one of the main suspect and main enabler to achieve personalization at scale in SaaS. And I think I'm done with the presentation, and thank you very much for paying attention and watching the video stream.
Reza, that was awesome. I really got a kick out of all the. I come from a growth marketing background, so the funnel personalization was something that was my jam for sure. So I really enjoyed the candid advice and just insight that you brought, especially from such a big company like Dropbox. Because I mean, personalization at an early stage startup, and thinking about the funnel with 100 or 1,000 people is completely different than like a million or 10 million, let alone tens of millions of customers. So it's really cool what y'all are doing. Really good information. Let's open up the floor for some questions here at the end. But while we wait for them to come in, I have a few questions for you. First off, where can people connect with you? Twitter, LinkedIn, email? What do you prefer?
I think LinkedIn. I'm so active on LinkedIn and a little bit on Twitter, but I think LinkedIn is the best channel to connect to me. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So we'll make sure to add that information in. As far as, personally, like for you personally, or like personally with business wise, like for you within Dropbox, what predictions do you have for 2023 for your space and kind of, um, personal thing, some tactic or strategy? I mean, what predictions can you come up with for 2023 that you have for you?
I think this is my personal idea. I understand from the market. Just in SaaS, just give you some insight about that. There's a rule of 40 that the percentage of the growth and the percent of the profit should be more than 40 number 40, the absolute number. So I see that
Okay.
this, yeah, this high level. So I see this considering current the macroeconomy and the global economy that's getting down. The main focus is to have make sure that the churn is because the growth is getting harder. As you see, that many of the big players in the SaaS also have some, uh, some alignment in the budget that they have. So the focusing on the to make customer happy is get more weight, and churn rate should be reduced. To be in a good rate to make sure that the whatever customer we have, we make sure we make them happy. Because as I mentioned in the inside, that once people just left us, they will never return back. 60% they will
Yeah.
don't look bother to look at the SaaS domain. So I think that personalization get much more emphasized, especially focusing in that domain to make sure that the customer experience is much more improved and much more better in that domain. And you can see that many of the SaaS company right now, I think Microsoft also mentioned that they could have the chat GPT also on the portfolio. So looks like they're also focusing in that direction to make more automation of the channel for the customers satisfaction, personalization kind of things. So yeah, I think personally see that in the 23 in SaaS business.
You know, that's really interesting, because so I'm here in Dallas, Texas, and I run an accelerator for early stage startups. And something that, coming from a growth, I'm a very scrappy marketer, you can call it that if you want. And one thing that, as marketers, our big thing with the funnel is like conversion rate optimization and CRO. So I kind of
Mhm.
took that concept and flipped it, because one thing that I've been talking to a lot of the founders and startups is that, like, in our case, it costs you more to bring in a new customer than it is to nurture a customer that's already within your funnel. So if you have
Yeah,
a lot of churn, instead of trying to focus on bringing in more customers that are going to churn, why don't we focus on like churn rate optimization instead of conversion rate optimization, right? So I think that's key, especially as like funding money is getting more difficult to come across. It's getting more competitive. A lot of companies and investors are looking into like growth, and not just like growth by acquisition,
Mhm.
if you want to call it that. So I think
Mhm.
churn rate optimization is going to be key in 2023, because I don't remember the exact numbers, and I know it's different per industry, but if you compare like what it costs you to bring in a new user versus the
Absolutely.
cost of nurturing a current user to become a converted purchase or converted buyer, it's a lot. I mean, the difference is massive, and at scale
Absolutely.
that could be the difference between staying alive and not.
Mhm. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Just give you some empirical rules that has the LTV of the customers should be 3 times more at least of the CAC, customer acquisition cost. So to make sure the SaaS operating in a healthy way. So that kind of
Yep.
the playing metric, make sure I think considering the economy, as you mentioned, the churn could be one focus area that make sure that your current customers are very happy and we just engage with them more. Yeah, absolutely.
So one thing just for the people that might not be familiar. So what Reza was talking about is like if your customer acquisition is $1 per se, let's just make it easy. We
Yeah,
want the lifetime value of your customer to be $3, right? So 3-to-1 ratio. Is that
yeah,
what you're speaking about? Correct?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a rule that more than 3 times. I can refer you. Actually, there's a very nice talk about the SaaS metrics. If you Google it, you can find it. Talking about
Okay.
on that talking about the fundamental rules on the SaaS that we should monitor it as the high level metrics and the North Star metrics to make sure our SaaS metrics are healthy, in a way of the operation.
So it doesn't look like we have any questions that came in, but I do have one last question for you that it's more curious about. I know some of the bigger companies have started doing this a lot more, but like this dynamic personalization, are y'all doing anything like that?
What do you mean about dynamic personalization?
So so for example, I'm trying to think of the last example that I saw. So there's a big bank and they're based out of Dallas. So I was on their website and like it was personalized to me. like the way that like the content that was on the website. So it was very like dynamic content type. Uh, I guess personalization. Like I'm trying to think. Yeah, so like it was just a bank, and I went in there, and there was like the Dallas skyline. But then I've been on that same bank in a different city, and it gave me like that city's background stuff and content for that city. Have you heard
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that, or
I think I
is that?
got your point. We call it as a personalization. We have also a couple of products in the collection that, based on content that they generated in the Dropbox, try to make a good collection, good naming, and also good kind of clustering for you to have a better connection with it. Yeah, we have kind of similar products, but everything is we have somehow in the umbrella of the personalization and the machine learning kind of things. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the conversation with me afterwards and answering those questions for me. I think you might have just convinced me to go back to Dropbox. I am a victim of that 60%, I will say. But I still use it. I still use it, just not as much as I used to. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what y'all are rolling out this year. I mean, I hope to connect with you offline and just continue that conversation as well. You brought some really amazing insights. So thank you so much for joining us. And I don't know if you have any last parting words for our audience.
No, I think yeah. Looks like I'm the last one, and the next is a break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are in the west coast, so it's 8 o'clock, 8:15. So going to drop. I'm going to drop my kids to the school. Yeah.
Yeah, it's early, so I appreciate you joining early with us.
It was very
It was
absolutely.
awesome. So thank you so much, Reza. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And yeah, best of luck this year and wishing you lots of success.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you. It was very nice conversation with you, and best of luck for this year. And talk to you. Yeah.